The Journey of the Princesses. In a distant kingdom, where majestic mountains touched the sky and vast fields stretched as far as the eye could see, a special festival was held only once in a lifetime, the competition to choose a princess. This new princess would not only possess outer beauty but would also need to have intelligence, courage, and the character to rule the kingdom. Every year, 3 exceptional girls were chosen from different regions to participate in the competition, where they had to face rigorous challenges to prove their abilities. The 3 girls competing this year came from diverse backgrounds, each with her own story, but they all shared the same goal, to become the kingdom's leader. They were Ruby, a strong and confident girl from the southern lands, Sepia, a gentle and wise princess from the central region, and Emerald, a talented and brave girl from the northern mountains. On the first day of the competition, they stood together on a vast green field, where elders and members of the council watched their every move. Each contestant would face challenges that tested not only their physical strength but also their intellect, soul, and perseverance. As the sound of the competition drums echoed, all 3 girls turned toward the horizon, where the fiery path awaited them. This was no ordinary path, it was a long stretch spanning miles, with large rocks covered in blazing red flames. If they were not careful, the intense flames could burn them all. Ruby did not hesitate to dive right into the challenge. She trusted in her own strength and the skills she had honed over the years. But she had not anticipated that the fiery stones were not only dangerous due to the heat but also prone to collapsing. In her haste, Ruby made a careless mistake and nearly fell into the fire. Fortunately, she reacted quickly and managed to jump back. She realized that sometimes haste could lead to failure. Sepia, with her calm and intelligent nature, decided to carefully observe each of her steps. She wasn't in a hurry but calculated every step with precision, choosing sturdy stones to hold on to. She knew that speed was not always necessary but that patience and caution were key. With each step, Sepia safely crossed the fiery path, leaving light footprints on the scorched earth. Emerald, with both courage and careful consideration, did not rush like Ruby, but she also wasn't overly cautious like Sepia. She discovered a new way to overcome the challenge, rather than sticking to the fiery stones. She found an alternate route, maneuvering through smaller cliffs and cold rocks where the flames could not reach. Using her quick thinking and sharp observation, Emerald swiftly crossed the trial without being scorched. In the end, Sepia and Emerald succeeded in overcoming the fiery path, while Ruby learned that sometimes haste could be a weakness. After overcoming the fiery path, the girls faced their next trial, the dark maze. This maze was not only built in darkness but was also filled with dangerous traps, dark creatures, and strange sounds that could distract them. Ruby felt lost from the beginning, though she was very strong. The darkness made it impossible for her to see her surroundings clearly. She relied on her instincts, hoping to escape quickly. But every step only led her further astray. She could not control herself, and eventually, she became trapped and had to use all her strength to escape. Sepia, with her calmness and analytical skills, paused as soon as she entered the maze. She realized that in the dark, only silence and concentration could help her find the right path. Instead of rushing, she began listening to the sounds of her own footsteps and feeling the cool air and breeze to orient herself. Each time she hit a wall, she would turn around and look for a new direction. After carefully navigating, Sepia eventually found the exit. Emerald, though initially feeling anxious because she couldn't see anything in the dark, remembered her mother's lessons on patience. She did not hurry but took each step carefully. She felt her surroundings and used her memory to recall any clues, helping her find the way out with precision and accuracy. Ultimately, Sepia and Emerald safely overcame the maze, while Ruby once again faced a sense of failure. However, she did not give up and resolved to learn from her mistakes. Having passed through the dark maze, the three girls now faced the hardest challenge so far, the endless sandstorm. This sandstorm was no ordinary storm but contained supernatural elements that could sweep everything into its depths. The girls had to find a way to cross the storm without being swallowed up. Ruby, bold and decisive by nature, charged into the storm without hesitation. But as she ran, she didn't realize that her speed made it harder to control herself against the fierce winds and sand. She became entangled in the powerful gusts and lost her sense of direction. Eventually, she was blown away, watching helplessly as the storm threatened to engulf her. Sepia once again used her intelligence to analyze the situation. She noticed that the sandstorm could not be fought with brute strength, it required patience and resilience. She found an ancient tree with thick, lush branches that shielded her from the sandstorm's attack. She took advantage of all the resources around her and gradually made her way through. Emerald, understanding that the sandstorm could be blocked if she harnessed the power of nature, discovered a nearby dried-up stream and used her skill to manipulate the rocks, creating a water wall that held off the storm. The swift stream's flow allowed her to stay grounded and pass through the challenge without being blown away. Once again, Sepia and Emerald succeeded, while Ruby continued to learn that physical strength alone was not enough to overcome these challenges. After the physical trials, the girls moved on to a mental challenge, the persuasion trial. In this test, they faced a council of elders who posed difficult questions to assess their ability to persuade on matters of politics, society, and morality. Ruby, confident and strong-willed, stepped forward without hesitation. She presented sharp arguments on the necessity of strength and power to protect the kingdom, emphasizing the importance of safety and stability even if tough decisions were required. However, when the council asked her to propose a peaceful solution to a current conflict between two villages, she struggled. Her words, though powerful, lacked the finesse and empathy needed, and she failed to convince the elders. The council felt that Ruby focused too much on strength and lacked the sensitivity and understanding required for delicate matters. Sepia, with her wisdom and empathy, began her presentation in a completely different tone. She not only provided logical reasons but also sought to connect emotions with reason. She presented a peaceful solution to the conflict, suggesting negotiation and cooperation between the villages. Sepia understood that sometimes strength was not the answer, understanding and patience were. She used historical examples and Old Kingdom stories to illustrate the importance of peace and unity. She ended her presentation with a promise that if chosen as princess, she would never use her power to harm her people but to build a happy, peaceful kingdom. The council was deeply impressed and praised her for her understanding and wise leadership. Emerald, though not as amiable as Sepia, had the strength of a true leader. She began her presentation with a bold question: we can use strength to protect peace. But can we maintain peace if we don't understand others? Emerald spoke of the importance of building trust among communities and how mutual respect could lead to lasting change. She offered a specific strategy to restore relationships between the villages through joint activities, education, and shared resources. She not only convinced with logic but also conveyed her deep belief in people's ability to change and improve relationships if given a chance. The council saw that Emerald was not only intelligent but also steadfast and compassionate. The outcome of the persuasion trial was clear. Sepia received high praise for her understanding and peaceful solutions, while Emerald was commended for her sharpness and strength in approaching the issue. Ruby, although she did not persuade the council this time, learned a vital lesson: strength must be paired with empathy and wisdom. Following the persuasion trial, the three girls entered the final challenge, the lesson from history. In this special trial, they were required to use the kingdom's history to solve a current problem. The council elders would ask questions about past events and require the girls to propose solutions to similar issues in today's context. Ruby was very confident in her physical strength but had not paid much attention to history. When the council asked her about a major war that had occurred in the kingdom's past, Ruby's answer was quite simple: if the kingdom were to face such a situation again, she would use the military to secure victory. However, when asked to explain why the kingdom had gone to war back then, Ruby struggled to provide a satisfactory answer. She knew that the war had led to victory but did not fully understand the underlying causes. She realized that in a complex world, relying solely on strength was not enough to solve long-term issues. Sepia emphasized that in today's context, the kingdom needed a strategy that addressed issues not just with force, but with an understanding of the importance of peace, unity, and the people's participation in decision-making. Her insight showed that she valued the wisdom learned from history and the need for a balanced approach to prevent future conflicts. The elders nodded approvingly, recognizing Sepia's depth of knowledge and her ability to apply historical lessons to real-life problems. Emerald, while not as detail-oriented as Sepia when it came to recalling historical facts, demonstrated her ability to analyze and view the situation from a different perspective. She spoke of a past crisis in the kingdom where intertribal conflicts had threatened stability. Emerald not only explained the causes of this conflict but also suggested practical measures, such as establishing dialogue and cooperation mechanisms between tribes, to prevent similar tensions from rising again. She stressed that learning from the past required understanding all perspectives involved to come up with fair and reasonable solutions. In the end, Sepia and Emerald both excelled in the challenge, showing exceptional understanding of history's value in leadership. Ruby, once again, realized that mere physical strength could not substitute for knowledge and wisdom in effective governance. However, she did not feel defeated. Instead, she experienced a pivotal moment in her self-growth, recognizing the importance of broadening her perspective to become a well-rounded leader. After all the trials, the three girls had grown stronger and more knowledgeable about what it truly meant to be a princess. However, the final trial, the courage challenge, still awaited them. In this test, Each girl would face her greatest fear, something she had never dared to confront before. Ruby had to confront her deepest fear, failure and the feeling of being seen as weak by others. In a dark, desolate hall filled with shadows and haunting illusions, she was forced to walk through a series of challenges where she faced her own inner fears, anxieties, and past mistakes. As she progressed, Ruby realized that failure did not signify an end but was instead a crucial part of growth. She emerged from the challenge realizing that she might not be the strongest physically, but she was undoubtedly resilient in spirit. Sepia faced her fear of being perceived as weak or inadequate. In a tense environment where voices of criticism echoed around her, Sepia learned to stand firm without letting others' judgments affect her sense of worth. She understood that true confidence stemmed from within and that self-assurance could not be shaken by external doubts or criticisms. Emerald had to confront her fear of losing loved ones and the helplessness that came with being unable to protect them. In a scenario where she was faced with a difficult choice, potentially sacrificing something important to save others, Emerald chose to hold on to her values despite the potential cost. She realized that courage was not the absence of fear but the will to stand up and face it, especially when it mattered most. By the end of the challenge, all three girls had succeeded in overcoming their deepest fears. They learned invaluable lessons about resilience, inner strength, and the true meaning of courage. However, this was not yet the end of the competition. After the final trial, the Council of Elders announced that the winner would not be chosen solely based on their ability to overcome challenges but also on who among them showed the qualities of a true leader for the kingdom. On the day of the Grand Council, a special assembly was held where each girl would face a critical test. They would be presented with a crisis situation and asked to propose their solution. This final test would reveal their capability to make wise and compassionate decisions for the kingdom's future. One of the kingdom's villages had rebelled and threatened to attack a neighboring village over a resource dispute. The three girls were required to decide on a solution to this problem. Ruby immediately suggested deploying military forces to protect the weaker village. She believed that using power was the only way to restore order and prevent the conflict from escalating. The military's presence will deter any violence and maintain stability, Ruby stated confidently. However, she failed to address the root cause of the problem, overlooking the importance of understanding the grievances and fostering cooperation between the villages. Sepia, on the other hand, chose a more diplomatic approach. She proposed organizing a mediation between the two villages to reach a peaceful agreement. Sepia stressed that without understanding the root causes of the conflict, this situation would never be truly resolved. She suggested providing financial and resource support to both sides to encourage cooperation and rebuild peace. She believed that only by addressing the underlying issues could they achieve lasting stability. Emerald, although she shared Ruby's view that sometimes force was necessary to protect the people, also appreciated Sepia's perspective on understanding the source of the conflict. Emerald suggested forming a specialized peacekeeping team to act as mediators during negotiations while keeping the military on standby to protect civilians if needed. She believed that a balanced approach, using both strength and diplomacy, was essential for resolving the situation effectively. After the three girls presented their solutions, the Council of Elders fell into deep contemplation. They not only listened to the girls' words but also observed how they demonstrated leadership qualities, empathy, and the ability to make sound decisions in challenging situations. Ruby had learned that military strength alone was not enough and that a princess needed to understand the people and possess nuanced leadership skills. She acknowledged that her pride and firmness were qualities she needed to temper if she wanted to lead effectively. Sepia demonstrated her leadership through wisdom and patience. She not only sought to resolve conflicts but also aimed to address the root causes and create a stable foundation for peace. The elders admired her ability to listen and tackle issues holistically. Although they also saw that decisiveness was sometimes necessary in certain situations. Emerald stood out as someone who balanced reason with compassion, strength with diplomacy. Her proposal to combine military protection with a mediation team showed her as someone who could make comprehensive decisions that protected her people while promoting harmony. The council felt that under Emerald's leadership, the kingdom would grow strong and resilient. In the end, the Council of Elders made their choice. Emerald was selected to be the kingdom's princess. They believed she possessed the qualities of a true leader, balancing logic and empathy, strength, and softness. With her as the leader, they felt confident that the kingdom would flourish under her guidance. Emerald's coronation day was a momentous occasion for everyone in the kingdom. Although the other two girls didn't win the crown, they each had grown tremendously. Ruby learned that true strength was not just physical power but also patience and empathy. Sepia realized that wisdom and diplomacy were her strengths, and she learned to be patient with her own personal growth. As Emerald stood on the dais to receive her crown, she felt not only pride but also a great sense of responsibility. She knew that her role was not merely to rule but to serve and protect all the people of the kingdom. Whether through strength, peace, or making difficult decisions, the kingdom entered a new era, where values such as peace, justice, and courage were celebrated. Each girl, despite following a different path, understood that being a true leader wasn't about personal glory, it was about resilience, overcoming trials, and making decisions that benefited everyone. From then on, Emerald led the kingdom with wisdom and bravery, not only as a successor to power but as a symbol of resilience and sacrifice for the people she cherished. The story of the three girls and the princess competition was passed down through generations. The lessons from the challenges remained alive, serving as reminders of the power of courage, wisdom, and compassion in justice. Each girl, though not all became the official princess, grew to be great leaders in her own way.